said keys are to the glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback time. Podcast time. And you know what? I'm really interested in this one because I want to get into all the Q&As. I want to see what everyone has to say. This is going to be fun.
New subscriber off the jump, Malik Evans with the subscription. Welcome to the Cutback crew, my guy. We got the Daves in. We got Monica in a little bit as well. Luke's here as well. This is fun, man. We're going to get to dive in a little bit. We're going to get to just talk with you all about the game. That's why we moved the preview show up. That's why we premiered it instead of the live stream. We're going to try this out. We want to do this because we want to be able to interact with you. And when we're doing the live preview show, it's hard.
It is.
It is hard to focus in and dial in on what you guys are talking about, what you're saying, what it is that you want to talk about, etc., and answer the questions that you guys have. It's difficult, and unless someone's super chatting or something like that, so we can pin it for later, we're gonna miss stuff, and we don't want to have to miss. We want to miss less. Essentially, we want to miss less from you. Be able to still bring you the content and the things that we want to do with our preview show, but also chat it up with the Cutback crew because that's half the fun, man. That's half the fun, and why we enjoy doing this as much as we do.
Yeah, and thank you, Luke. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's gonna be nice. I get to see all the day ones that are already in there, and then I know we got new people watching as well. And it's going to be fun to just be able to interact and go back and forth and really have actual conversations on this type of forum, this live stream. So yeah, if you have any questions, you can throw them out there right now. And we'll start getting into this because that's what I want this to be. I want it to be a back and forth between, us and the listeners because we've missed out on that a little bit. We tried the preview show and you're right. It just wasn't the same. And I'm looking forward to the interaction again.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Always are, always am. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a good time. If you're new here, if it's the first time you're watching, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well, and that notification bell. Become the newest member of the Cutback crew. Stream Elements is letting you know about it down there. Steven, how you doing, good sir? But Cutback crew, this is open. This is open Q&A time as well. So ask your questions. We'll get into a little bit of stuff here, but as you guys have stuff that you want answered and want discussed, let us know, especially about the game.
Yeah.
Let's focus on week 3. Let's focus on what the Niners have to do and what's going on here. We got our daily video tomorrow that's going to talk about some of the stuff that's happening right in practices today and with this team and adjustments being made. But you and I just had an interesting recording session with the Madden simulation, which you all are going to want to watch tomorrow. It's going to be very interesting indeed. But this game is very tight, tighter than I think you and I both thought it could be. Definitely closer at this point in time than what I was originally anticipating this matchup to be. Tyler Menting, we have his conversation coming out tomorrow. He felt the same way as well early. He felt that this was going to be all Niners all day long. But these injuries to the 49ers running back room, man, have shifted the thought process, the belief, and the sort of just momentum that the Niners had building heading into the season.
Greenlaw hurt, Brett hurt, Mosley been out. Those are reasons why you think this game could be closer. I know I do. Because Green Bay has Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers has Davante Adams, and so they can attack down the field. So that gives you a little bit of worry. If the 49ers had Raheem Mostert and had Jeff Wilson Jr., or even just the running back room they came out of training camp with, those 4 guys, I think we would feel very comfortable the 49ers could get the run game going against Green Bay, limit the amount of snaps that Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to take, shorten the game, and then take advantage of those situations. There are still advantages for the 49ers roster-wise. The 49ers do have advantages. The offensive line is better than Green Bay's defensive line. They don't have Zadarius Smith, so there's going to be some edge rush missing there. And Rashawn Gary, yeah, he's good at setting the edge, at times, but he's going to lack the speed. If the 49ers can get outside of him, there's going to be opportunities for them out on the edge, which they've proven through week 1 and 2, that if they can run the sweeps and tosses outside, they can be successful because either you overrun it and they cut back, or you don't get to the edge and you allow them to get to the sideline. So there's opportunities for the 49ers to be successful against Green Bay. And they just got to go out there and execute. And do they have the running backs to do it? That is still a big question because we've been talking about Elijah Mitchell and we've been talking about Trey Sermon. but they have all these other guys that they brought in as well.
That's absolutely accurate, Ant. And look, David here with a great question. I heard you earlier talking about blitzing Rodgers more than normal. Couldn't that backfire? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely could. Look, it depends on how you're blitzing and when you're blitzing, the situation, circumstances, and who you're bringing. Who you're bringing matters. Bringing K1 off the edge, it does. You're taking a coverage guy off the field. However, if it's a situation, right, where it's Randall Cobb in the slot and you're bringing K1 Williams off of that in space, that is a situation in which you may be willing to take that risk and take that chance, especially if it's a 3rd and long situation. You bring that pressure, you bring that blitz off, knowing that you're going to be bracketing and taking certain things away from Davante Adams, knowing that Randall Cobb is going to have to check into some sort of hot route or hot read, which means he's going to be catching the ball in front of the sticks, and now you're going to give your defenders a chance to rally. So being strategic about those blitzes, and when you're sending blitzes, to maybe force Rodgers' hand, force checkdowns, force quick reads, right? Hot reads, those hot routes, and getting the ball out quick in space in front of the sticks and allowing the Niners to come up in space and make tackles on specific types of guys. Now, you don't want to do this and leave Davante Adams with the ball in the open field. That's not going to lead to good things. Same thing with Aaron Jones. You don't want those types of things.
Right.
But if the ball is getting underneath in space to Robert Tonyan, the ball is getting underneath in space to Randall Cobb, Valdez Scantling, you'll live with those, especially if they get a couple of those and extend drives. Hey, it is what it is. You take a risk, right? There's a risk-reward factor.
Yeah.
High risk, semi. I mean, it's a high reward getting the ball back, but not the end of the world if they get a first down, especially if they're on their side of the field, deep on their side of the field. They still have to progress down the field in order to threaten to put points on the board. So weighing your options and how you go about attacking it will definitely matter. And D'Amico Ryans is going to find a way to make sure that wherever those blitzes are coming from, right, you're going to put Rodgers in a position where he's going to be trying to get the ball out quick in space. So hopefully, guys, that you're not worried about catching the ball and getting that yak afterwards.
In a perfect world, you can get home with 4. You can get home with 4 defenders, consistently, and they can get there and cause Rodgers, to have some issues, to speed up his clock and make him get rid of the ball before he really wants to. But with Aaron Rodgers, if you only rush 4, even if it's coming in fast, he's going to get a timing. He's going to be able to figure out what he needs to do. They're going to be able to adjust. So you want to keep him off balance. And part of the way you do that is to bring the blitz and increase the clock a little bit more. So sometimes you want to bring the blitz, sometimes you want to bring just 4, and sometimes you want to sit back and just make Aaron Rodgers, have to think about what's going on. You don't want him to get into a pattern, get into, being comfortable with what he sees and what he can go with. So mixing it up and changing it up has been successful. And for the 49ers, they've been consistently able to get home with 4 against the Green Bay Packers in the past. But we can all remember the times that they've brought K1 Williams, they've brought Fred Warner, they've brought all these guys on blitzes. It is a game plan that they like to execute against Aaron Rodgers. Being very strategic when they do it is important. But you need to get off the field on 3rd down. You can't allow situations for Aaron Rodgers to be able to, you need 8, he gets 9. You need 11, or they need 11, he gets 12. You can't let those things happen. Those are backbreakers for the defense. So yeah, you take some chances sometimes in the blitz. It's not always going to work out, but you have to go ahead and mess with his, how comfortable he is in the pocket and his momentum and everything. You got to make sure you get him off his spot, speed up his clock. So he has to get rid of the ball before he wants to, because it does take some of his receivers a little bit of time to get going. Besides Davante Adams and Randall Cobb, they don't operate so good, quick to the line of scrimmage. So I think that is a game plan they can execute, but you're trying to get home with 4. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, the core 4 is the big ask and the big get, right? If those 4 guys can do it on their own, all by their lonesome, then you don't have to bring that pressure and bring that blitz. Didn't happen as much last week as much as we would have liked it to. It happened at times, but we're expecting more out of it. And again, as these guys get their legs fresh, they get their rust off, especially a guy like Bosa who hasn't played in a long time, Dee Ford, same thing. Then it'll get better. It'll continue to improve. And as Samson Ebukam becomes more and more comfortable working on the interior and working in the pass rush, because before he wasn't just a solid, solidified pass rusher. He's got a role now. He's got a specific defined role in terms of what he's doing. And they've utilized him a lot on the inside, which is significantly different than what he was doing with the Rams. So he's still got to adjust, and there's an acclimation period there as well. Steven here with a great question. I really want to see how these dudes we signed are utilized in special packages, specific plays to limit touches for Sermon and Mitchell. What are your thoughts? Are you thinking we're going to run up the middle a little bit more?
I think they're going to take what's there. There are opportunities to run up the middle with the way the Green Bay Packers defense is constructed. And Mike McDaniel goes into this a little bit in what he talked about today, is the fact that you have these players that are not going to be able to learn the total offense, So really, they're going to be learning what roles they have in this team. That's the part of the offense they're going to learn first. So yeah, you're going to have some of these guys, depending on who plays, and I think that is a big thing. You're trying to stretch out the full implementation of this playbook and game plan until later on in the week because you don't know what's going to happen. They're hoping Trey Sermon is going to get cleared tomorrow, and if he does get cleared, that'll kind of change some things. But yeah, they're going to have to figure out exactly how to use these guys. But you would think Jacquez Patrick would be more of an inside run guy, or Cannon would be a guy you could use out on the edge. So there are ways that you can use these guys. Kerryon Johnson can kind of do both. So he's one of those guys you can go in and he could fill in certain situations. So yeah, they have certain skill sets that they would like to use. I think they got these people because they have certain skills and certain plays in mind to use them. Could it be for Green Bay? I think so. I think they are. I think they're prepared for it. I would like to see what this offense looks like with a big, physical bruising back that is picking up 3 and 4 yards a carry. If you can do that consistently, then you can, make sure you keep the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands. And big physical guys like that, they can take a beating and keep going, so you don't have to worry about an injury, hopefully. So I would love to see it. I'm interested to see what they do with these guys as well.
No, I want to see that as well. It would be absolutely phenomenal if Trey Sermon is able to go. That would. Oh man, a lot of my concerns go out the window. I feel a lot more comfortable knowing that we could. He just needs 15 touches. We just need 15 solid runs. I mean, if we can get 15, 20 solid runs out of that guy, then we're fine. Because you can put him back there and play action the other 10 times, and what's Green Bay going to do? You have to respect it, especially if he's getting 4 or 5 yards a carry. And he's definitely shown he can do that. We saw the first run this last week against the Eagles. Outside of the end of that run, it was glorious. Up to that point, I was like, uh-oh. Trey Sermon is making the case that he should be touching the football a lot more for the 49ers. And look, it's one of those things right now where Shanahan has his moments. It's always going to come down to the hot hand in the running back room. And now that there's a lot of new faces, that means new opportunities. New ways to scheme, different ways to attack that maybe Kyle hasn't planned on doing. Or there's been times. Look, it's been funny these first few weeks. I've had a couple people that I've talked with about the 49ers saying, I've seen Kyle Shanahan just running a lot of sweeps, and it just seems like that's all he's doing is running sweep. It seems like there's nothing else in the playbook. And I was like, come on, really? You've watched a 49ers game before, right? You've watched a Kyle Shanahan called 49ers game before, right? Like, that there's other things in the playbook. That there are other calls. There's just one problem. These things are working right now. The sweep is working. Why would you do anything else? Why would you call a different play? Why would you go with those sweep looks into the reverse, right? Where he fakes out like he's going to run the sweep. You had Debo running a ghost motion. He tosses it to Debo or tosses it to Ayuk. Or, right, they run the fake stretch and then they boop in space on the little reverse. Why would you start going further into your playbook if you don't have to? It doesn't make any sense. My first game that I ever called as a coach, and you were on the sidelines for this as an O coordinator at Tokay. My very first game, we came in and we had the new package the varsity wanted us running. And I came into that game and said, we're going to start with it. If it goes well, then I'm just going to stay in it the whole game because our crosstown rivals are there to watch us tonight. We're just going to run these 6 plays all night long. And the first play of the game was an opening touchdown on a little 48, little sweep action. The next drive, we did a play action boot for a big gain and then punched it in as well. We scored on 3 straight drives within like 10 plays. And I looked at you and I was like, man, I really feel like this would be a great time to work on the rest of the playbook. And you on the mic literally just go, stick to the basics, coach. Stick to the basics. And we ran the same 6. We ran 6 plays for an entire 4 quarters of that game and dominated start to finish. The next week when we went out and played our crosstown rival, there was no preparation. There was nothing to prepare for. They prepared for that. That's all they could prepare for. And we came out and ran completely different sets and completely different formations.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big part of it. You don't show anything that you don't have to show. Another part of it is why run anything else if it's working? Unfortunately, as fans, a lot of times we look at the team and the offensive coordinators and think that there needs to be a different play every single time, right? A different formation, a different look, a different way to approach it. When really, all you're really doing as a play caller is seeing how many times you can run the things that are going to work. It doesn't matter what they look like. And what Kyle Shanahan and Mike McDaniel do is not different from a lot of coordinators, is they just window dress the same play over and over. So it's in a different formation, it's a different personnel grouping, but it's the same exact play. And by doing that, you're able to take advantage of the skill set of your players. That's ultimately what you're trying to do as a play caller, is take advantage of your guys' strengths and put the defense in positions where they can't be successful because you know the defense's weaknesses. And once you know what those weaknesses are, you exploit them. And that's all they're trying to do every single week. If Kyle Shanahan knew he could run a sweep toss every single play for the entire game and win the football game, he would 100% do it. It's not about how it looks or how pretty the game is. It's about winning. That is all that matters. And these guys, that's what they're going out there and trying to execute. So yeah, right now that's what's there. That's what's available. Philly made an adjustment and went to the 5-2 to take away the outside zone. So the 49ers went away from running those sweep tosses early in that game. They thought the advantage was going to be up the middle. They weren't wrong. What was the problem is the execution with the offensive line wasn't there. They weren't able to anchor down and hold those holes open. Those holes were closing before the running back got there in the interior because Philadelphia Eagles defensive line is so good. But once they got back to the edge, they found out they could still do that. So I think there's a confidence in the 49ers now that it's going to be a continued staple for the entire season until somebody goes completely horizontal and tries to make the 49ers run vertically. And when they do, the 49ers will have all the ability to do so, and they'll execute at a high level. But why fix it if it ain't broke?
If it ain't broke, there's no reason to, right? There's absolutely no reason to at all. Shooter, I liked that a lot. If it ain't, yeah, he said it. If it's not broke, don't fix it. He's on top. He's on top of it. He's on point. What up, faithful? James Vega, how you doing, good sir? How you doing? Look, Steven, another great question here. I feel we will pass more than usual this game only because the opportunities will be there, not because we necessarily have to. What are your thoughts? That was my bold prediction, right? With 450 yards passing between both of these quarterbacks. And you can utilize both guys, create some situations where Trey Lance can create some run avenues and show that run early, really get them to pack the box when he's in, and then take some shots over the top. All of it's doable, all of it's possible. Does Kyle Shanahan necessarily want that to be the case where you have to throw the ball a whole bunch? No. But if this game is close and it's a little bit more of a high-scoring affair, then there may be some more throwing of the football and more shots being taken downfield and more creative, schemes and designs in the pass game in terms of getting the ball into playmakers' hands and really distributing this thing across the board. Because if there's a lot of throws being made, there's a lot of adjustments being made with the secondary as well for the Green Bay Packers, because they're going to take away Debo at times, they'll take away Kittle at times, they'll take away Ayuk at times. So it's really about creating those mismatches, creating those opportunities to attack if they present themselves. Will that be the case? I don't know. I don't necessarily trust the Green Bay defensive coordinator to force the 49ers to throw the football. I think he's going to want to take certain things away with the pass, and if that is the middle of the field, that means guys dropping back in space or at least starting a little bit further back so you can take away those zones or close those windows down, which means better opportunities to run the ball up the gut in the outside zone early in this game.
If I had to guess, I would think that the Green Bay defense, and especially the coordinator Barry, is going to run two deep safeties. They're going to sit back and they're going to make Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance, whoever it is, probably Jimmy early on, defeat them. And they're just going to sit back. But really, it's not about the passing game at first. I think it's about the running game. They're going to make the 49ers prove that they can run the football consistently against their front seven. If the 49ers can't move the ball against their front seven, they're just going to sit back in the zone all day long and make Jimmy Garoppolo beat them. And he's going to have to do it consistently. So the 49ers need to get the run game going early. Whatever running back is in there, it doesn't matter. They have to get it going. Whether it's that or it's Ayuk and Deebo Samuel getting involved in the run game in the backfield, running fly sweeps, whether that is the quick pass game with the smoke screens, whatever it is, they need to make sure that they stretch this defense and they're able to get rush yards. If they can't do that, then there's no reason for Green Bay to adjust. And if Green Bay doesn't adjust, they're just going to sit back there and make Jimmy Garoppolo consistently complete passes. And the 49ers are going to have to dink and dunk and move the sticks. So until they prove that they can run the football, don't expect for there to be many opportunities down the field, especially to throw the football. I think everything will be in front of the sticks, and those have to take what they can until they get the run game going. But if they get the run game going, it opens up everything, because then here comes the safety into the box, here comes the play action pass, and then there's opportunities where you can get Kittle down the field for touchdowns. We saw Richie James get a long touchdown last year. Those opportunities are there for Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. So I think this is going to be one of those games, and I think Deebo is going to be called upon to add some offense as far as through the run game. And I think that they have the opportunity to go out there and handle business. And if they get the run game going early, whether that's manufacturing it or with this slew of running backs that they brought in, either way, it's going to be good enough for the 49ers to get the victory.
Very true. Very true. Brecta, that's a great question. It's an interesting question. It's a little different. He says, can I trust Clyde Edwards-Helaire at running back to start at an RB2 for week 3 in a PPR league? To hop over to Patreon, my good guy, because that's where fantasy football talk is had. And I actually have that as a sit or start this week. Clyde Edwards-Helaire because he's on a couple of my rosters, and after his horrendous Week 2 performance, got some questions about Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So hop on over to Patreon.
Who's Kansas City playing?
Kansas City this week has, if I'm not mistaken, and here, let me see if I can't pull something up here on that. I believe the Chargers.
Okay.
The Chargers.
Interesting. Okay.
It's an interesting matchup. Definitely an interesting matchup. But yeah, over on Patreon, I'll be answering that question this week. That'll actually come out tomorrow, so you don't want to miss that fantasy football discussion there. And also, Jay Hill from Face Off. Him and I have a nice, wonderful conversation about his start so far in the Cutback Fantasy Football League, in which he has a close loss to me in Week 1 and then loses to the 49er chick who auto-drafted the entire draft. She's off to a 2-0 start. Her and I face off this week in a clash of the undefeateds.
So a calm conversation between you and Jay Hill.
Very calm, not a face-off like conversation.
Okay.
So
interested.
Very different.
I'll have to make sure I jump over there and check that out.
Very different spin and different take about what's been going on there. 450 yards passing from the 49ers QBs, question mark Gary. Yes, that was my prediction.
Yeah, that was his bold prediction for offense. My bold prediction was that Deebo Samuel is going to get 100 yards receiving, 100 yards rushing, because I think Deebo is going to have himself a big game, and they're going to need him in both areas.
Very true. Steven here with a bold prediction of his own. Jimmy G, 3 TDs, 350-plus yards passing, 0 INTs, 72 completion percentage, no sacks. And if that happens, the Niners are winning. Also, you can say suck it to a certain game out there.
Yeah. And very specific. So, like the specific.
The bold specifics.
Yeah.
I'm rubbing off on him. It's good to know. Rodgers won't feel nearly as confident against the 49ers as he did against the Lions from Nathan. Agreed. Yeah. Agreed completely.
Yeah, I think so. I think he still sees Bosa in his nightmares. Bosa will be all over him.
Yeah. I don't disagree with
the
you.
NFC Championship game is the last time that you really saw the 49ers defense versus Green Bay. And there's no Bakhtiari. I mean, and they're having injury problems at left tackle right now.
It's true.
They might not even have their backup left tackle.
My gosh.
If that happens, Nick Bosa is going to eat.
He's going to eat big time.
This is not the offensive line for the Detroit Lions, who at least have Penei Sewell. The Eagles at least have Mailata. These guys don't have anybody.
You're not wrong, man.
No.
You're not wrong. They really don't have a whole lot of anything. Lou, if the run game can't click, then is a Trey appearance the kryptonite for the Green Bay Packers defense? I think it could be. I definitely think it could be. This is one of those things where if you bring Trey in because the run game can't get going, right? Packers know that. They know Trey's coming in to shore up the run or make the run harder. They're going to start trying to load the box a little bit, but they're going to have to go basically matchup man everywhere else, which means play actions are going to be very, very crucial, as well as just straight catch and go, one-on-ones on the outside, deep balls, inside slants, things of that nature. If the Packers are matched up, or matching up and trying to do that with Trey Lance, there's going to be opportunities to go over the top, which means now the Packers have to pick and choose, right? What beats you? Is it the run game and the run threat from Trey Lance and the running game threat from the 49ers, in which maybe you can rally and get tackles for 4 or 5 yard gains, or are you going to let one of the best deep ball throwers in the league throw the deep ball one-on-one in coverage with some questionable corner play, with the exception of Jair Alexander? Outside of that, there's a lot of question marks with that defense in that secondary.
Well, Trey changes the defense right away, because as soon as Trey comes in on offense, you have to commit a eighth guy to the box. If you don't, he's going to be able to run on you. Plus, they got Rashawn Gary and Preston Smith that play the defensive ends, these outside linebacker spots in the 3-4. Yeah, I'm going to call them outside linebackers. But they'll be primarily playing on the line of scrimmage to try to stop the 49ers outside zone. So when they're up there, when they're running the read option, Trey Lance is going to be reading those guys. If those guys flash down the line of scrimmage to stop the run, he's going to pull and be able to get around the outside. A safety's going to have to be committed there to stop Trey Lance, but that is still a mismatch for the 49ers. If they go ahead and they stay put, which could be bad for them, because if they stay put, those two might not be athletic enough to stop Trey Lance, even if he makes the wrong read. But what it does is they have one less guy that they can commit to the run. So the 49ers have run lanes that they can use, so that could get the run game going. That's why Trey Lance is pivotal in situations like this. They have interior linebackers like Barnes that aren't very fast, that can't get to the sideline. They're not sideline to sideline guys. So if you get to the edge, you have opportunities to be successful. So I think Trey Lance adds an extra element to the 49ers run game that they might need to use. And yes, he could be the reason that this run game is able to be successful. Sometimes you have to use the skill sets of your players to be successful. And this is one of those opportunities where I think they need to use Trey Lance. I'm not saying they're going to. I just see that there are potential reasons to do so and ways that Kyle can use him to be successful and take some of the pressure off this run game, because you know it's going to be, a little bit rougher than normal just because you don't know which backs you're going to have. But yeah, Trey can do it. And like you said, if they bring the 8th guy in, there's going to be opportunities down the field where you can win, because I'm not sold on Eric Stokes. I'm not sold on this DB room. And I'm definitely not sold on physicality. So Deebo Samuel will be able to muscle Eric Stokes. Stokes is fast, but can he guard these guys, one-on-one if they have to commit that extra guy?
True. And Nathan, yes, he said, aren't the Packers dealing with some key injuries on D this week? Well, they're dealing with some key injuries season-wise. Darius Smith, they're shutting him down for the year. So he's out. He's gone. He ain't coming back. They've had some questionable play from Kevin King on the outside, which means Stokes has had to come in, and he's come in and done a couple of nice things for the Green Bay Packers. If you watch him in the red zone, he has a couple of good moments. He also has a couple bad moments there in the red zone in that game against the Lions. So Stokes is a little bit up and down. Sometimes out in space, he's playing fine. But here's the thing. He was being tested by the Lions wide receiving corps. So, yeah, there's that. I mean, you can feel comfortable about it if you want, if you're a Green Bay Packers fan, and even the Green Bay coaching staff. But there's a difference between Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Trent Sherfield, and whatever it is that the Lions are throwing out there at wide receivers.
Quintez Cephas.
Hey, I'll tell you what, though. I'll got to give Quintez Cephas a little bit of love, Ant. Just a little bit.
Except he wouldn't make our roster.
No. He built on his week 1 performance, though. He built on it in week 2. And his body control is still fantastic. That guy around the sideline, in and around the boundary, he knows how to get himself down in bounds. That's going to keep him in the league for a very long time. If you can make catches like that on the sideline consistently, find a way to, make your quarterback look really good because they maybe don't throw the best ball or throw really difficult balls towards the sideline, and you can go up in space secure and somehow find a way to get both feet in down and keep drives going, there is hope for you as a possession receiver in this league. You can carve out a role in pretty much any system because every team needs a guy who can do that. Every team. 49ers would love it, but we don't need it. We already have too many of those guys already as it is.
Yeah, and I don't know if Amos and Savage are going to be able to handle George Kittle. I think that's going to be a weakness for them too. Those safeties are not going to be able to handle. Those linebackers are matchup issues. George Kittle is a matchup issue overall for the Green Bay Packers. So when you're looking at it, maybe they have to go put King on him. And if they have to put King on him, do they also have to cheat his safety? And if they're bracketing coveraging him, once again, that means you're going to have Brandon Ayuk singled up. Are they going to try to single up Eric Stokes on Brandon Ayuk? Jair Alexander on Brandon Ayuk? Okay, well then that means Deebo's on the other one. And if they get situations where it's King on Deebo Samuel's winning 80% of the time, maybe even more. So I'm excited about those matchups. The defense for the Green Bay Packers doesn't scare me. There are opportunities for the 49ers to be successful. Have to get the run game going, though. So whether that is using this makeshift run game that they've put together to get it done or using Trey Lance to help get it over the top, whatever that is, I don't think there's any stone they should leave unturned to make sure that they can take advantage of Green Bay, because this would be a huge win for San Francisco. 3-0, that's how you have to roll, especially in the NFC West.
Correct. And look, here's the other thing, too, that we cannot forget about. This may be one of the first games that we finally see a situation or situations where you get Ayuk, Deebo, Sherfield, and George Kittle on the field. Because you put those 4 guys out there. If the plan for the Green Bay Packers is you're going to put Jair Alexander on an island. He's just going to be on an island. He's all by his lonesome. Okay, fine. We're going to bracket Kittle, and we're going to bracket whoever it is that Alexander's not on. You can now put that 4th wide receiver on the field, and that could be Sherfield.
Yeah.
Could be Sherfield out there one-on-one in space with King, Eric Stokes, whoever it may end up being. That's going to be a problem. That's a matchup that the 49ers can exploit all day long. Okay, we're going to try and take away 3 of your options, 3 of your toys here. What are you going to do? Well, you better make sure that your front 4 and your linebacking core can do what it needs to do against the offensive line, because if it can't, we're going to run all over you. And if you are committing all 5 of those guys in the box, that means everyone else is singled up in space or doubled up in space. Whoever the guy is that's singled up in space, fun.
Yeah.
You're going to have a good time. We've seen the kind of route running that Trent Sherfield throws. We've seen that. We saw last week the Debo story, right? Debo Samuel talked about it on the radio the other day with him and Sherfield, where he lines up on the wrong side of the field, and the both of them get up to the line. Sherfield goes, "Hey, bud, wrong place. Supposed to be, oh, yeah." And they, on the fly, readjust the route concepts to fit the scheme based on what it is. Sherfield runs a different route to pull the safety off and pull the corner off, and Debo runs the same route underneath the middle. Jimmy recognizes it and still finds Debo in space for a big gain anyway. Yeah, these are highly intelligent guys who know how to operate in space and know where they're supposed to be. They can be creative. They can adjust on the fly. So you want to single up a guy like Sherfield, you want to single up a guy like Debo or Ayuk, it's going to spell problems for you.
Yeah, and I seen Jag ask a question, so I want to get in this.
Okay.
He said, how's everyone doing? First off, we're doing great. I'm glad you're here, Jag. He said, do you gentlemen think Shanahan might try using Juice a little more because of the injuries in our running back group? Yeah, I think that every weapon that he has at his disposal, he will use. The one thing that was interesting about the Eagles game is how much we saw Juice lining up in line with George Kittle. A lot of times that those two guys were overplaying. He played more of a tight end role. He would motion back, to be in the fullback position. But there were lots of times where that's where he was, and he operated almost like a tight end as a second tight end for most of the game. So I think that they're going to use him in that area because of the 3-4. So you're going to be able to get him out there where him and George Kittle can be successful in setting that edge and making sure the 49ers are able to run out there. So he's a big part of the game plan. So was George Kittle. Even though they don't produce numbers-wise, they're a big part of the game plan in the blocking game. That you literally couldn't do half of what you do without those two guys. So I'm looking forward to what the 49ers do with them. But yeah, I think there's going to be opportunities for him to catch the ball because he's a matchup problem for those linebackers from Green Bay as well. So we'll see how they scheme it up, see how they use him. But I think whenever one part of your room is depleted, one part of your team is depleted, you find areas, to use other players to be successful.
Absolutely. I like that there, Steven. If the Packers are within 10 points of the Niners come final score, I'll pay up a $25 super chat.
I hope we don't get that super chat.
I personally don't want the super chat. I'd like this thing to be like 20, 21, 14, 17-point win.
Give us the blowout.
Yeah, I'll take the blowout and sitting comfortably, because you get to hold on. Number one, you get to hold on to your cash, and I get to enjoy dip stress-free.
Yeah.
Stress-free dip is the best kind of dip, man.
Is it?
Maybe not.
What kind of dip do you go with?
Oh man, it's got to be 7-layer.
If
it's not 7-layer dip.
Are you a 7-layer with potato or 7-layer with tortilla chips?
Tortilla.
Okay, yeah, I agree with you. Tortilla chips is the way I would go as well.
The only time I'm having potato chips, man, is bland, just by themselves.
But I do enjoy a nice avocado, a nice guacamole, some salsa. All those are good choices as well. French onion occasionally. I do not discriminate against the dip.
No discrimination against the dip. I like it. Sac Francisco asked a little earlier. We almost missed it. Will Jalen Hurd be back before the bye?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm not 100% on this. I haven't heard anything, and because he doesn't practice, we're not going to hear anything. It's all about quieting down the knee tendonitis, and then he's going to have to get out there and prove that he can practice. I think that they are itching to have him out there and his skill set. So I think when he's ready, he's going to be out there and ready to go. But we'll see. We'll see if he gets out there, here in the next couple weeks. If he does, that's exciting. If he doesn't, we'll see what their plan is for him. But yeah, I would like to see him.
I would love to see it also. I would like to see him before the bye. It would be great if we have him 4 games in. I would love it.
Yeah.
I would absolutely love it if he's available here in the next couple of weeks, heading into these matchups against offenses with a lot of weapons at the wide receiver room. Will that be the case? I don't know. I don't know.
He's kind of like out of sight, out of mind right now.
Yeah.
He can't practice. No one's talking about him. It's actually a very good situation for him because there's no questions. It's no questions for Kyle Shanahan. It's just him working with the training staff, trying to get back. And let's see, because I don't think he was that far off. I think he was, pretty close. They were just, it was the right move to put him on IR. You got to quiet that knee tendonitis down. Hopefully they have a plan for it. They've been executing their plan with Javon Kinlaw recently. So maybe they found a plan that'll work for Jalen Hurd.
I agree. Trickster had just said that Sermon officially active for Sunday cleared protocol. I have not seen anything come across yet for that.
The comments I saw were from Kyle Shanahan on KMBR today. He said he was supposed to go through protocol and hopefully get cleared
tomorrow.
Maybe he did get cleared today.
I'm not seeing any reports from anyone anywhere. There's probably people on 49ers Twitter that are saying stuff. Someone had brought this up this morning and said it this morning also. in the live daily video this morning about this and said, hey, he cleared concussion protocol. I was scrolling through trying to find it, and I'm like, there's nothing here. I'm not seeing anything yet. Whether or not that's true, Trickster, I hope you're right. I hope what you're saying is 100% the truth. Because if it's the truth, this is great news for the 49ers. And if it's not the truth, you just got my hopes up.
And Mark Graves just made me laugh. Have we seen more Hurt or Jimmy Hoffa?
Oh.
I'm a Jalen Hurd guy, but that's funny.
It is funny.
That's some good stuff right there. Yeah.
Nathan, you're right. Hopefully we get Mosley back. If we can get Emmanuel Mosley back, a lot of questions.
And Gary doubled down. I like it, Gary.
Freaking Gary. I love it. I absolutely love it. Hoffa is in the end zone in New York. It's cute. Stop it right now. Look, if Sermon cleared concussion protocol, this is good news. It's good news for the 49ers. Jag also asked, do you think the Green Bay defense is more susceptible to George Kittle getting some explosive plays if they're not doubling him? Yes.
Well, he's a matchup issue.
Yes.
He's a matchup issue for their linebackers. Their linebackers aren't quick enough, especially their outside linebackers cannot handle him. So that means his inside linebacker work. And if not, it's Amos or Savage from the safety position. And I feel comfortable every single day of the week that George Kittle can beat them. So what do? Do you put, King on him? Is that a matchup that you're going for? They have the extra corner, so maybe they do that. It's going to be interesting how they handle it. King has the athletic ability and length, but I think George Kittle has the size, strength, and just overall he's a better player. So I think George Kittle's a extreme matchup problem this week for Green Bay. He's going to leave the 49ers opportunities. The lack of pass rush that Green Bay has means probably clean pockets for Jimmy Garoppolo. So I'm liking the way that I'm feeling about this 49ers offense. As long as they can manufacture run plays, get some run yardage. If that happens and they have to bring a safety up and commit an extra defender, the 49ers are going to be successful.
That's right, Ant. 49ers Chanel, thank you so much for the subscribe. Welcome to the Cutback crew.
Yeah, welcome.
How you doing? If you guys could have one 49ers player on the podcast, who and why? That is a solid question right there.
Yeah, you go first. I want to hear this.
If I could have one guy on, right now it'd be Brandon Ayuk. Partially because of everything that's been going on, number one. But number two, mostly because I want to dive in with him on just this pass game and the pass scheme. And how he thinks he's utilized, or how he thinks, what makes this different than anywhere else he's ever been. Because he's spent a full year, right? He was a main guy last year with Debo on the shelf for a while. He got utilized a lot, had to play with Mullins. I know I'd have a lot of just questions, the differences now, but in the 2021 season to the 2020 season, also being a rookie in the COVID era, right?
Yeah.
No fans in that rookie season. What was that like? How different is it now? Has there been any sort of adjustment period? Training camp as well. No eyes on you last year. Essentially very limited in terms of things you could and could not do. And what's it like this year with a full training camp and all of that thing? I just have a lot of questions for the young man. I think I get a lot of good insight into the team and just his thought process as well. As a guy who also played wide receiver coming up, when I was a young man, I got a soft spot for the wideouts. I got a soft spot for the wideout room. And Brandon Ayuk definitely is a guy that I would want to pick his brain a little bit about and just find out a little bit more about the system and the process and what it's like with the rest of the wide receivers and with Kyle Shanahan.
I think I would go George Kittle. I think there's just so much that I would like to know about his approach to football. What it was like working through what he did at Iowa, compared to how he exploded into the NFL. Plus, I just think it'd be a lot of fun. He's one of those guys. He's exciting. He would have a lot of cool stuff to say. So, yeah, I would go George Kittle. But in the entire building, the interview that I would like to have the most is with Mike McDaniel. He's one of my favorite guys to listen to, at his pressers.
So funny, dude.
He's always got something interesting to say, and I would love to pick his brain about how he views football, because he views it from a different point of view because he's somebody that never played.
It's true.
So just listening to him and seeing how he approaches X's and O's, I think would be a real exciting thing. It might be real nerdy, but that would be fun for me. That would be one of those things that I enjoy doing. I used to love going to the clinics, asking questions, and just sitting there and listening to what they had to say. So that would be a fun one.
Definitely would be a fun one. David with the Ford 99 Super Chat. David, thank you so much for that.
Yeah, thanks, David.
How is it possible that new running backs can be effective in such a complex system? That is my worry. Some stupid turnover because someone goes the wrong direction or the wrong way.
Yeah, so basically what Mike McDaniel said is they're going to take everything and they're going to put it into like a little box. Here's your skill set. These are the plays we think you're going to contribute on this week. and they're going to learn those. And what you're hoping is that when the situation comes up, you have the right play for that situation. It is not the best way to go. It's nowhere near perfect. You would like these guys to have a better understanding of the offense, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do, and that's how they're going to approach it. Bobby Turner and these guys are going to be in there grinding, trying to learn as much of this offense as they can, and they're going to get enough learned that way they can go out there and be successful. Look at Trenton Cannon. He didn't know a whole lot, but when he got in there, he knew a little bit and was able to go into the game and run a play. So, I was critical of the play call at the time, but apparently that's all Trenton Cannon knew was just a couple of plays. They called it. Luckily, he knew what to do. It's a bit of a question mark. That's why somebody like Kerryon Johnson, who's been there for a little over a week, will have an advantage. And then with Jacques Patrick, he came from Cincinnati, and they run a similar system. So not everything's going to be completely foreign. You can put him out there and let him he'll have a better understanding of what to do. But the verbiage and stuff is still different. So these guys are learning on the fly, and it is an adjustment. So we'll see ultimately how much they can learn. As an NFL player, you're used to learning a lot, but this is a big ask.
It's a huge ask. It's not going to be simple. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be extremely difficult. This is my concern. This is my big concern. How can you find a way to scrap this together and make it work? It's hard. It's complicated. And the thing you brought up there at the end is probably the hardest part. It's the verbiage. It's not knowing where to go. Like, it's not knowing, hey, when we run a stretch play to the right, I'm running a stretch play to the right, not the left. It's not that. It's the verbiage that is used to dictate and determine what you're doing, what your linemen are doing, what your fullback's doing, what are your wide receivers doing out here in space. What's the look, what's the formation, what the count is. All of those things change system to system, personnel group to personnel group. It's all different, and there's a lot of verbiage. It's not like a list of 25 vocab words. We're talking potentially hundreds and potentially even thousands, depending how big the playbook is and how complex it is. And it's Kyle Shanahan. Talking about big brain Kyle Shanahan. There's a lot of verbiage. Now, he's probably got a lot of things that cross over and can be utilized in a variety of different ways, with combinations of words meaning, this or that or whatnot. But you have to understand what they mean, what the words mean, the numbering, how it goes into account.
Yeah.
There are going to be certain words that are used to essentially kill things or call audibles or, show something, but you're shifting into something else. I mean, there's so many different ways that a playbook can be constructed in terms of the word choice and how you use words. That was one of the hardest things for me coming up was verbiage. How do I get the verbiage that, number one, it flows. Number two, it makes sense, especially at the high school level. Mm-hmm. And then number three, Ant, that nothing contradicts itself. You don't want anything contradicting itself. That's hard.
Well, I mean, Kyle Shanahan has a playbook, right? It's vast. It's like this. But he has a practice plan a game plan that's like this. And then these guys' role is even more defined. So that's what we've done is we've taken it all the way in. So these guys are learning this little tight role for themselves. And that's why it's important that they have so many guys at this different position. It would be practically impossible for a quarterback, for instance, to be able to pick this up. But other position players, they can do it. So the 49ers are going to be able to limit these guys into a certain, set what they need. Now, they're an injury away from being even more trouble, right? So what they're trying to do is make sure that they get it the best they can. But these guys can definitely learn it. And I think that there's an opportunity for these guys to go out there and make plays because this 49ers offensive line is real good and the scheme is really good. So as long as they know what to do, these guys can go execute it because these guys aren't terrible players. These guys are right there at the edge, possibly making an NFL roster. So, but they're not as good as the guys that we just lost.
Very true. Here's the good news, right? The good news is that your O-line can shore up some of those problems. If they do a really great job up front, securing, hitting their blocks, doing the things they need to, running lanes are big. Just about anyone not named Trent Richardson can find a big hole.
Yeah.
Okay? Literally. Anyone. Almost anyone can do it.
Jared Haynes.
It's true. I know I can do it. I know I could find a hole, a big hole. Absolutely. 100% could. You're going to ask me to start doing anything more than that, we got a problem. Also, running fast, not in my forte. Not happening.
I'll find it. The question is, can I get through it in time before I get absolutely mollywopped?
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. I wasn't thinking about that. But fair. Jag just asked, I'm sorry if you talked about this already, but any word on who will play running back? Sermon is on the uptick right now.
It looks like Sermon is going to be a go. We're not 100%, but it's looking that way.
Looking that way indeed. Elijah Mitchell right now is kind of still just day to day. It's not looking good though.
He said he's on the outside right now. There's an outside chance. Outside chance. So we'll see. They said it's all coming down to Payne. They're hopeful that he can practice tomorrow.
If he practices tomorrow, I would just say book it. I'd say book it, maybe on a limited basis, but he'll get some touches of some kind. And then obviously you got Jaquez Patrick that you brought in, Kerryon Johnson, who's still in the practice squad, and they're just going to wait. They're going to wait before they activate and bring him on and bring him up. But I would imagine those would be the guys you're rolling with.
Yeah, I think the big determination is going to be those front two guys. If you have Sermon and you have Elijah Mitchell, then you're probably going to keep one other guy active, and then you're going to have Trenton Cannon that you've also had in camp. So you think it would be Kerryon Johnson and probably Trenton Cannon. That would be the most realistic. But if one of those guys doesn't, then you're talking about it being, for instance, Trey Sermon, Kerryon Johnson, Jaquez Patrick, and Trenton Cannon. Those are kind of what your running back room is going to look like. And yes, I expect them to probably have 4. Cannon can help you on special teams, but mainly because you've been having so many injuries, you got to make sure that you don't suffer too many injuries, that you don't have enough players.
True. Mark, I will hit it for a 5-yard gain. Oh, you say a long gain. I'll go 5-yard gain. I'll hit the 5-hole for a 5-yard gain as long as it's a rip-tight 45 crossbuck.
Yeah.
I need the misdirection in order to get the linebackers to pause for a second, and then I can get that long gain.
It all depends on who's playing linebacker.
True.
If it's a speedy guy, you're going to get tackled down. If it's a slower guy, you have an opportunity and maybe a little bit of power to run him over.
Do a little bit, just a little bit.
If it's Fred Warner, I'm getting a 3-yard loss.
If it's Fred Warner, you're break the huddle. It's a riptide 45 crossbuck shuffle on set. And I'm gonna be like, hey, wait, that's for me.
You can't
give the ball to me. No,
no, definitely not.
No, I'll have a heart attack. Pass on the field. I'll faint. Just staring at Fred Warner would be enough for me to be like, I'm good. I don't need this in my life.
Right.
This ain't worth it.
I retired for a reason.
There's a reason I stopped playing. This reason right here. Which of the new running back signings do you see making the biggest impact in this game? I think the one that has the biggest opportunity would be Trenton Cannon.
Because of special teams?
Special teams, number one, but then also if there are packages where he's in and they're all outside options, right? Outside run potentialities. If everyone hits their blocks on sweeps and he gets out there in space, he could house call one.
Yeah, he could. I think that the opportunities are outside. So it would make the most sense for these guys to go out there and play on the outside. I would think it would probably be Jaquez Patrick because he can run the ball. He's very physical. But to be honest with you, I don't know. It could be any one of these guys. Kerryon Johnson. It all depends on who's active too. I mean, it really don't know.
No.
It's kind of a crapshoot, to be honest with you.
It is literally the running back room shuffle.
It is.
Kyle Shanahan's here, and he wants to cause trouble. And now everyone has to suffer through the 49ers running back shuffle.
You want to know what the real trouble is? Trying to find any pictures online of these guys in uniforms that aren't like 5 years ago or 3 years ago. Everything's college. Even Norman, I can't find anything in Josh Norman in a 49ers uniform. It's tough.
Thanks 49ers Twitter or whatever.
I even go to the 49ers website. It's a little bit difficult.
My goodness gracious. Well, we hope that's not the. They need to get on top of that. They need to get going with it. But no, I mean this is going to be a very interesting week 3. There's a lot of questions, a lot of concerns, a lot of just up in the air situations. What this offense can do, what will it look like, how impacted will it be? Will we not even notice a difference? That's always 49ers fans. I don't think want to believe that. I know I don't want to believe it because I think it's just too simple, right? It's just. You can just you're just that good, Kyle. You can just take anyone, plug and play. It's just hard to wrap your head around, but it's possible. It's happened before. It wouldn't be the first time that Kyle Shanahan's done something like this.
I think Kyle Shanahan would be completely honest with you and tell you that no, it doesn't work that way because there are levels to success, right? If you have somebody like Raheem Mostert, you can reach this level of success. If you have somebody like Matt Breida, you can reach a level just below that. For every level of talent, there's a little bit less you can do. The question is, where does that end, right? Where is that you have enough talent at this point to get enough done? It doesn't mean these guys are going to be at the level of those other guys, but is it enough? The one thing Kyle Shanahan gives you is the opportunity to have enough no matter who's in there. Never going to be great. It's never going to be what these guys, because when you have an extreme talent, you can do great things. Look at Terrell Davis in Denver.
Yep.
Fantastic things because of how great he was. But every single back beyond that went a little bit down, right? He was 2,000 yards. Alandis Gary, Mike Anderson, those guys are 1,000-yard rushers. That's the difference. He can plug and play almost any back, and they can be serviceable. Can't plug and play any back and them have a great year, a great career.
That's true. Rob, I apologize for that. I don't know why. YouTube's awful about that sometimes. Even if you hit that notification bell and you have all notifications set and not just some, sometimes they're just a bunch of buttheads.
It doesn't even notify me sometimes.
No, there's times I don't get notifications either. YouTube. Well, my favorite part about YouTube right now is the fact that I have a notification bell that I've hit, right? But if something is set to premiere or something is live streaming, and there's a watch page for it, it asks me to set a reminder. I have all notifications hit. It's set for everything. Why is that just shouldn't it just be automatically selected?
Yeah.
Why do I have to click it again? Come on, YouTube, making me do extra work for no reason. Ridiculous. My goodness. Jimmy G still being underestimated by opposing teams as well as our own fan base. He's going to go out there and put together another good game. Luke, I agree with you. He's going to put together another good game. The O-line, 11% of his dropbacks right now are being pressured. The second lowest in the NFL behind Tom Brady. If Jimmy Garoppolo's got time, man, Jimmy Garoppolo can carve defenses up. We already know this. So as long as his O-line stays healthy, Jimmy's going to continue to ball out.
The question is, are these teams going to completely duplicate what Philadelphia did and the scheme that they ran? Are they going to run these 2D looks? Are they going to make Jimmy be consistent underneath? If Jimmy hits those passes to Trent Sherfield, to Mohamed Sanu that he missed in Philly, if he hits those against Green Bay, they'll have to change their coverage. But Jimmy has to be the one to go and execute it. Is Jimmy good enough? 100% he's good enough. His arm talent is there. He's got elite quickness, and how quick he gets rid of the ball. The quick release is there. But there are some questions. Sometimes he elevates the ball over the middle, which he did to Brandon Ayuk. So Jimmy's just got to play at his top of his game. If he does that consistently, then yes, a lot of people underestimate him, and he can definitely win football games. And I'm one of those ones that believe that if you get into the playoffs and the Super Bowl, Jimmy Garoppolo can win those football games for you. But he's got to execute at a high level, and I'm also going to make sure that I always am critical of the mistakes that he's making and make sure that it's always fair because he does a lot of great things. The throw to Deebo Samuel on that pass was fantastic. There's not very many quarterbacks in this league that can do that. In the same regard, he has other ones that aren't so good.
You're not wrong there. 49ers Minded, what's up, my guy? How you doing? Look, there was another great question here. Where is it? Oh, no, it wasn't a question. It was a good comment. Jag, sometimes we complain about the special teams, and so I want to give a huge shout out to our special teams, especially Wishnowsky. Wishnowsky is playing at an all-pro level, and all-pro Wish. I love it. Yeah. He's flipping fields. Great hang time. It helps also when you get that long hang time and you're flipping fields and you get Trenton Cannon and Trent Sherfield out there shooting out of cannons on the sidelines.
Yeah. Getting
into space and bringing down punt returners for 1 yard, 2 yards, forcing fair catches. Trent Sherfield sitting there waiting for the ball to come down at the 1. Beautiful.
Second best special teams in the league right now.
Yeah.
That's how they're graded out, and they're playing like that. When we did our film breakdown on Patreon, we did stop and take some time to really appreciate the special teams, appreciate Trenton Cannon, appreciate Trent Sherfield, because as good as Wishnowsky is, those two guys were absolutely fantastic as gunners. They are big time for this football team, and they were those three were reasons why the Eagles were pinned back deep a few times. So, their special teams has been huge for the 49ers. Complimentary football is a real thing, and I love to see it.
Well, Shooter knows. Shooter's over on Patreon right now. He's one of those GOAT tier members on Patreon.
He is.
He's a GOAT. An absolute GOAT. Shooter, we love you. We absolutely love you. But look, he got to see that all-22 film breakdown on Patreon. The special teams was phenomenal. And Trenton Cannon on kickoffs, there's about 5 yards of separation between him and everybody else. He is literally down there faster than anybody else. And the best part is, too, he's got he understands who his guy is very early on in coverage. Because he's out in front and down there so quick, he's able to notice which guy is responsible for him in space. He's able to maneuver himself, kind of get out of his lane a little bit, and then quickly get back into it by just changing the angle and making the angle of attack on kickoffs extremely hard for the kick return team. He's special on kickoff. That guy is special on kickoff. He's special on punts. I'm looking forward to hopefully getting to see him actually return some stuff as well and see what he can add in the return game. But no, I mean it's gonna be big. Finesse can match physicality from Tommy Huxley, $2 super chat there.
It can sometimes.
They're not. Hold on. Finesse and physicality, and they're not mutually exclusive. You can do both.
Well, I remember finesse used to be the 80s 49ers. Physicality was the 85 Chicago or the 80s Bears. And the finesse-ass 49ers went in there and rocked them. So
That's true.
that is something that happened. And then I seen that 49ers Minded was talking with Luke Luna about Brandon Ayuk and getting him the football.
When Jimmy needed to target him.
Yeah, well, one thing is Brandon Ayuk was taken away a lot during Philly. They did bracket him, and when he wasn't bracketed, he was covered by Darius Slay. They made a concerted effort to take away George Kittle and to take away Brandon Ayuk and let somebody else beat him. Their problem is somebody else did beat him because Deebo Samuel took care of business, and then Jimmy Garoppolo found Jawan Jennings and Trent Sherfield to convert first downs, and even Brandon Ayuk on Darius Slay. So they had a plan to get Brandon Ayuk the ball. It's just the Eagles went ahead and took it away. The way the Eagles played with the two deep safeties, the way that they bracketed those two guys, they wanted to make sure everyone else beat them, and the 49ers did enough with these other guys to beat them. So that is something that happened in that game. So that is a good conversation, whether Jimmy Garoppolo needs to get him the ball. I think Jimmy will get them the ball as long as it is there, it is open. Jimmy only takes what's there. He doesn't try to force it too often. When he does, it can be problems.
It 100% can be. And look, we saw that in the All-22 film, and it made me feel a little bit better. It makes me. I really want to be able to dive in now to that Detroit film as well and see what Detroit was doing when Ayuk was on the field, because I have a feeling, a very sneaky suspicion, Ant, that there's a good chance that when he's out there, since he's not in all the time right now, when he goes into games, teams are kind of keying on that and spying on that, being like, well, maybe Kyle really wants this guy to prove it, so he's out here for a reason. Because anytime him and Kittle were on the same side of the ball, there were four guys occupying space against those two gentlemen. Every time. Kittle was seeing double teams almost the entirety of the game. It was bracketed, press underneath, guy over the top, just kind of spying on him. The Eagles were totally fine with the Niners doing anything else. They trusted their front against the 49ers run game and the linebacking core stepping up and doing the things they needed to do. And they basically were going to be like, all right, you're not running inside. We're going to make it as hard as we can to get you running outside, right? And then if you decide to throw, you're not going to Ayuk. You're not going to George Kittle. So you better beat us with somebody else. If that's the game plan that the Green Bay Packers come in, it's going to end really, really badly for them. Because they don't have the same front. They don't have the same linebacking core. They don't. They have, I would say that they have the one corner, right? They have their Darius Slay-esque guy over there with Jair Alexander, but that's it. That's the only similarity between these two teams is one cornerback. That's it. The rest of this team is not anywhere close to what this Eagles front put up and what they are. And there's a lot of people, I've seen a lot of Eagle disrespect after this game. And there's a lot of people out there talking about the Eagles and being like, oh, they're, just a complete disappointment from one of the worst teams in the NFC least. Pump the brakes a little bit. This Eagles front is formidable. Brandon Graham done for the season. That sucks. They still got pieces. They still have pieces. They still have a lot of talent there. That D-line, that front for them can keep them in a lot of games.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think we should get too over the top on the Eagles for sure. I think they're a better football team than people think. They're really good in the front seven and also on the offensive line. So they're going to have a successful season, of course. And I just think that the 49ers are right where they want to be as far as, the way that they're playing. I think that they're going to keep improving every week. 2019, they were got off to a slower start. They were able to win football games early, but really didn't hit their stride till the middle of the season. And then that's when they really turned on the jet. So I think the 49ers are just going to get better as the year goes on. They're going to get more chemistry. They're going to be able to work together. But you're talking about Brandon Ayuk, and that's why I think Deebo Samuel's going to have himself a game, because I don't think Green Bay is ready to move off covering Brandon Ayuk and doubling Brandon Ayuk because they want to make Deebo prove that he can beat him. And you're so worried about George Kittle that Deebo's kind of the third option right now in defense's minds, and he's the first option in the 49ers' mind because they know that's what's going on. If they decide to try to take away Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk is going to have himself one heck of a game. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk about Ayuk's huge number. So it's pick your poison with the 49ers. It's try to take it away. And if for some reason you think you can take Deebo, George Kittle, and Brandon Ayuk away, good luck stopping Trent Sherfield because he's given us that extra option. And once you start committing all these defenders, the wide receivers, you have to worry about the run game, and you have to worry about Ross Dwelley and these other guys. So there's definite opportunities for the 49ers to win.
100%. I mean, it's tougher if the run game and the running back room is in a kerfuffle and we don't have the guys that we want to have up there in the front, carrying the rock and carrying the load. But Kyle will get it done. He'll find a way to be creative enough to get it done, whether that's Deebo on fly sweeps or even motioning Deebo potentially into the backfield. All of those are possibilities. All of those are options. We're just going to have to wait to see. We have to wait to see what Sunday has in store for us, what the 49ers have in store for the Green Bay Packers. I'm really excited. I'm really looking forward to this. Cutback crew. This was a lot of fun. There was a lot of good stuff here, a lot of great questions. It's a good time, a good little hangout sesh here, getting to dive into this Week 3 matchup just a little bit more. We got a lot of great stuff still coming your way tomorrow, including 9 a.m. tomorrow, a very interesting Madden simulation. You don't want to miss that.
Yeah.
And then 11 a.m. daily video not too long after that. 2 p.m. with our boy Jay in the Bay for What's Good. What's Good? He's going to let you know what's good for the 49ers heading into Week 3 and this matchup with the Packers. And then a very fun and always exciting and entertaining Know Your Opponent discussion with Tyler Menting of Football Unlocked. That's always a good time. We love having this dude on the podcast.
Yeah, it's great. Tomorrow's lineup is absolutely fantastic. And Tyler Menting does an absolute great job breaking down the Green Bay Packers. That's his team. That's who he's passionate about. And he just tells it honestly. He doesn't have a fan perspective. He has a complete perspective on what his team is and what it isn't, and that's what he talks about. And he goes into the strengths and weaknesses of the team and where the 49ers have advantages, where he thinks the Packers have advantages. And it's an exciting conversation, and I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. It's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to everything that Friday has in store for you. What we got Saturday coming out for you as well. A lot of great stuff over on Patreon as well. We had a bunch of stuff debut today, from the All-22 film breakdown to, in the afternoon, a new 49ers Cutback in time. Those are always great. Tomorrow, you got some good stuff as well, as you got the fantasy football show coming at you on Friday. You don't want to miss any of that as well. A lot of great content on all of our platforms, whether it's here, whether it's traditional podcast platforms, or Patreon. Tons of ways for you to engage. Tons of 49ers content for you. It's good stuff.
It is. It's fun. And yeah, get interactive. I see Megan talking about that. If you want to ask Jay in the Bay questions, you can leave it on our community page. He answers questions in the Hey Jay segment. If you have questions for us that you would like us to address, or you have topics that you want us to go over, go ahead and leave those there as well. There's plenty of opportunities for you guys to get involved, and more coming. We're enjoying interacting with everyone else, and I'm excited about the 49ers game on Sunday. I think the 49ers are going to have a good game against the Packers. We're going to be wearing those throwback reds, and we're going to really get it going.
They're going to be looking clean. They're going to be feeling clean. And the podcast is looking clean, and it's feeling clean as well. Cutback crew, we love y'all. Stay safe. And until the next one. Oh, man, I just screwed up the outro.
You did.
Holy cow almighty. This is a first. Well, this is a first. Cutback crew, I apologize. Mwah, I love y'all. Stay safe.
And remember, the right way is always the 49ers way.
I won't ever do it again. I promise.